Welcome, I'm Dr. Steve Lautenschlager with NinjaMastery.net. Today I'm going to show you two ways that you can execute historical backtests in NinjaTrader 8. So the first way is to run a backtest on a chart window. So we're going to open a new chart window. And when we do that, we're prompted for an instrument. So we'll just choose Amazon for this. And we're going to choose a different range. So we're going to do this test over 4 years of data. We'll choose January 1st of 2015 to January 1st of 2019. So now, if we want to run a backtest, we need a strategy to do that. So you right-click on the chart, select strategies, and we're going to test one of the built-in strategies that came with NinjaTrader, and that would be the sample moving average crossover. We double-click to add to the configure panel, and from there we can look at the properties on the right-hand side. So a moving average crossover requires two lengths, one for each of the simple moving averages that's part of the strategy. We'll go ahead and just keep 10 and 25. And there are a lot of other settings down here. Most of the time, the defaults work just fine. And it looks like, for the most part, the defaults work for us in this demo. I'm going to, well, I almost forgot. In fact, I almost always forget when I'm adding a strategy that I have to check this enabled button here. If you don't check the enabled button, nothing's going to happen. Your strategy won't execute. So be sure to check that enabled button, then select OK. You get a prompt here just warning you that your orders will be automatically submitted. That doesn't actually really apply here because we're only doing a historical backtest. And once I do that, almost instantly the strategy completes over the 4 years. And what we see on the chart now are just the two simple moving averages. Now these dotted lines connect the beginning and ending of a trade. So if they're green, it means we had a winning trade. And if they're red, as in the case over here, we have a losing trade. So we entered the trade here at the same time that we closed the previous trade. So it says close position 100 shares at 1968.50, and it tells us that at the same time on the same bar it sold short 100 shares, and that position remained open for several bars until it was closed here at a price of 17.05, and it made a profit. If you want to look at more details on the backtest, you can scroll back through the life of the backtest and you can see all the different trades that were made there in a visual representation on the chart. But you can also right-click, select Strategy Performance, Sample Moving Average Crossover, and Historical. And what this is going to do is show you a summary of the backtest performance. So the first thing we'll note is that it shows that we made $113,000 plus on this strategy over this 4-year time period. We had a drawdown that was more than $24,000, and total number of trades is 36, and our average trade was over $3,000. Well, normally you'd consider this extremely good. Now, just remember, we don't have commission or slippage in this, but it looks like even with that, this would have been a profitable strategy in that time range. Another thing I like to look at in strategy performance is the analysis window. And this gives you a nice visual representation of your equity curve. So if we're in the green and the curve is sloping up, that generally means we have a decent strategy and we don't have huge drawdowns. So this strategy actually looks like it works pretty well on Amazon, at least during that time frame. Now, the second way I'm going to show you to run a strategy is from the strategy analyzer. So in order to do that, we'll need to open a new strategy analyzer window from the main control panel of NinjaTrader. And the strategy analyzer looks a lot like the performance window we were just looking at. So that's essentially what the whole left side is. On the right, though, we have this other settings tab. This settings tab looks a lot like the strategy properties that we were exploring on the chart that we had to set before we added the strategy. And it is very similar. We have several options here. So we can run a standard strategy, which would be the same as the backtest we just performed on the chart, or you can do an optimization or a walk forward as well. We're going to do the standard. Then you have to pick your strategy, sample moving average crossover in our case. Again, we'll select these default moving average lengths. The instrument was Amazon, and we will select our daily data, and we'll go ahead and enter our same time frame, 2015 to 2019, and we will not include commissions and we won't include any slippage. And let's run it. Okay, so we can see very similar results, about $110,000 in net profit. And we have a max drawdown of almost $28,000, which was a little more than in the chart backtest. And we have a total of 37 trades. Now, on the chart backtest, we had 36 trades. So what's the difference? Well, let's take a look at things. So on the top here, we have the strategy performance for the chart backtest. On the bottom, we have strategy analyzer and its strategy performance. So there we can see that the total net profit on the chart was $113,000. On the strategy analyzer, it's $110,000. So why are these different? We input all the same variables. Let's take a look at the list of trades. So on the chart, if we scroll to the bottom of this list, we have 36 trades. In Strategy Analyzer, we have 37 trades. So clearly, there's a difference. The profits are the same, except for that last trade. The difference is all because of this last trade. So why do we have one extra trade in our Strategy Analyzer? When you do a backtest on a chart, if there is an open trade at the end of the backtest, it will not be included in your performance summary. If you want to modify your strategy to close out any positions at the end of a backtest, you can do that. And then in that case, you'd get 37 trades. In the Strategy Analyzer, if you have any open trades at the end of the backtest, it will close them and then include them in the performance report for that strategy. So that's what the difference is between these two cases. That's just something you have to remember and be aware of.